China's urban transformation is a story of rapid development and expansion. In cities like Shenzhen, some of the most fascinating areas are the so-called urban villages and the unique Handshake buildings that dot the landscape. These places offer a glimpse into the complexities of urbanization, where human ingenuity and adaptability shine in the most unexpected ways. Today, let's take a journey into these areas, uncovering what makes them so intriguing and how they reflect the lives of people who call them home. Let's get started. But wait, before we dive fully into this, take 2 seconds and subscribe to this channel so you don't miss out on our future amazing content. And hit the like button. Explore China's amazing urban villages and Handshake buildings. 1. What are urban villages? Urban villages are like living time capsules, remnants of a past that's slowly being swallowed by the rapid surge of urbanization. These once rural settlements have been enveloped by the sprawling city of Shenzhen, transforming from quiet farmlands into bustling neighborhoods packed with life, culture, and the unmistakable energy of city life. But they aren't just any villages. They are complex, self-sustaining microcosms of society. Despite the chaos, they operate in ways that larger, more polished parts of the city could never dream of. Imagine stepping into one of these urban villages where the air is thick with the aroma of fresh street food and the sound of motorcycles zipping by fills the narrow alleys. Everything you could need is right here, packed into spaces smaller than what you might expect in more developed areas. The market might seem like a chaotic maze of small stalls, selling everything from fresh vegetables to clothing, but it's a rhythm all its own. The tightly packed buildings, stacked one on top of the other, seem to defy the concept of space. Yet they house thousands of people. You'll find balconies covered in clothes drying, neon signs flickering above, and vendors shouting over each other, trying to catch your attention. The buildings, worn and weathered by time, are packed together with such efficiency that there's little room to breathe. But inside, they hum with an undeniable sense of purpose. People live here because they have no other option, yet they've made it work. In these spaces, tradition and modernity blend seamlessly. Old homes sitting next to new tech startups, street vendors selling traditional snacks next to high-speed internet cafes. It's messy, it's loud, but it's a testament to human resilience. These villages are not just surviving. They are thriving in their own, messy, beautiful way. 2. The heart of the community. Diverse shops and lively streets. When you walk through the streets of an urban village, you're immediately struck by the sheer diversity of businesses, all crammed into small spaces that spill out onto the sidewalks. Each shop tells a story, and each vendor has something unique to offer. The air is filled with the intoxicating smells of sizzling meat from street vendors and freshly baked baozi, steamed buns, blending with the smoky scent of stir-fried noodles wafting from tiny restaurants that line the streets. As you move through the narrow lanes, it's hard not to be overwhelmed by the sheer volume of shops packed into every corner. There's a butcher on every street corner, his shop piled high with fresh chicken feet, offal, and even entire fish, ready to be chopped and prepped for dinner. The locals buy their ingredients here, often from the same vendors they've been visiting for years, exchanging jokes and stories as they pick out the best cuts of meat. It's not glamorous, but it's authentic. It's the kind of place where the hustle and bustle make you feel alive. Beyond food, these neighborhoods pulse with the life of small, independent businesses, from hole-in-the-wall electronics shops where you can haggle for a used phone, to cramped beauty salons offering haircuts for a fraction of what you pay in the city center. Everything in these villages has been created to serve the needs of its residents. Many of these businesses cater to migrant workers who have left their homes in search of a better life in the booming city. The workers, often from rural areas, keep these businesses running, creating an eclectic mix of cultures, languages, and backgrounds that you can feel in every conversation and transaction. The streets are always alive, whether it's early morning and the shops are just opening, or late at night when neon lights flicker above the alleyways. The sense of community is palpable, It's not just about surviving. It's about belonging. Despite the cramped conditions and the rough edges, there's a warmth to the chaos. People know each other, they support each other, and they help each other through the grind of city life. These streets are more than just thoroughfares. They're where connections are made, stories are shared, and cultures collide in the most beautiful ways. 3. Living conditions in urban villages. Living in an urban village is a paradox. On the one hand, it's a place where basic survival takes center stage. On the other hand, it's a place where people form intimate, enduring relationships with their environment. The buildings here are tightly packed, sometimes so tightly that entire families live in what would be considered substandard conditions by most standards. The space is limited and privacy is a luxury, but for many, it's a small price to pay for the opportunity to build a future in one of China's most economically vibrant cities. Inside these buildings, the narrow hallways can feel like a maze, with shared walls and staircases that lead to cramped apartments. The apartments themselves are often small, dimly lit, and sometimes lacking in natural light, with only a sliver of sunlight reaching through the windows, due to the proximity of other buildings. You might walk through the halls and hear the sound of TV shows blaring in different languages, or the chatter of neighbors discussing their day. The space feels alive, full of stories, struggles, and dreams. You'll see makeshift living arrangements in these areas. Some apartments have walls that are little more than thin partitions, separating rooms that are used for everything from sleeping to cooking. The rooms are stacked on top of one another, with little regard for symmetry or design. In some cases, people even build cages on their windows for additional safety, or to store belongings that might otherwise be cluttering up the limited space. The intensity of life here is undeniable. Every square inch is used to its fullest potential. While it may feel cramped, it also feels remarkably efficient. There's a certain rhythm to it all. Families crowding together in tight spaces, children playing in alleyways, workers hustling down streets, and neighbors always checking in on each other. It may not be the plush living spaces seen in the city's skyline, but it's home. And for many people, it's exactly what they need to get by. The living conditions aren't easy, but they're manageable. A far cry from the clean, comfortable spaces of a high-rise apartment. It's gritty, it's crowded, but it's also where dreams are made. People come here to make a living, save money, and ultimately climb the ladder of success. The hardships of living in these conditions are softened by the opportunities that lie just beyond the doorstep. A better job, a brighter future, a chance to build a life. And that's what makes it all worth it. The belief that no matter how small or dimly lit the space may be, this is the beginning of something bigger. 4. The underground economy. Vice and secret lives. Beneath the bustling surface of China's urban villages lies a shadowy world, where the realities of life collide with hidden vices. While the streets are alive with energy, small businesses operating under the radar provide an entirely different scene. The tightly packed alleyways conceal much more than what meets the eye. Places where shady dealings happen in the dark, away from the view of mainstream society. The local beauty salons, which might appear to be nothing more than simple parlors offering haircuts or skincare treatments, often serve as a front for far more clandestine services. In these dimly lit rooms, the air often feels thick with tension, as if the space itself is holding its breath, waiting for someone to make a quiet exchange or a hurried exit. Women, often seated in what seems like a simple beauty chair, aren't there to undergo traditional beauty treatments. Instead, they offer services that skirt the boundaries of legality. The conversation in these salons is hushed, as the clients are well aware of the discretion they are expected to maintain. The activities that happen here are not officially acknowledged, yet they are an open secret within the community. The world inside these small rooms often intersects with those looking for more than just a haircut or a massage. It's not unusual to see people from all walks of life, businessmen, truck drivers, students, participating in or turning a blind eye to these underground economies. It's a part of the hidden layers of the urban village, a reminder of how far the city has come in terms of modernity, but also how deeply entrenched certain practices are. These spaces are where society's rules blur and individuals find themselves navigating a world that runs on secrecy and subtlety. This hidden underground economy thrives on these gray areas, often ignored or dismissed by the city around it, yet undeniably present. 5. Safety and community feel. Despite the chaos and apparent disarray of these urban villages, one aspect stands in sharp contrast: the surprising level of safety. These communities are far from the violent, crime-ridden slums one might imagine. In fact, they are the opposite, a testament to the unspoken bond between the residents who live here. This is not just a place where people sleep and work, but a place where they truly form a part of something greater. With little presence of law enforcement and no luxurious security gates, what holds the community together is an unspoken trust and a sense of mutual reliance. There's an undeniable feeling of solidarity among the people who call these villages home. As you stroll through the narrow lanes, the air is filled with the hum of everyday life. Children play outside, running between the makeshift stalls, while parents chat with their neighbors in familiar tones, sharing life stories and street gossip. Even the most run-down alleyways seem alive with a buzz of conversations that make these spaces feel alive. There's a constant movement here, a feeling that the community is united in its struggle, yet bound by a common understanding that they are all in this together. It's an energy you can't find in any high-rise apartment complex, a kind of community spirit that's built from years of shared hardship and survival. Walking through these villages late at night, you're often struck by how safe it feels. The streets, while never empty, are eerily calm at times, with residents walking home after a long day's work. The sense of security in these areas comes not from surveillance or police presence, but from the close-knit, almost familial bonds that have developed. People know each other here, sometimes even by name, even if their homes are just a few square meters. There's a comfort in that familiarity. In these communities, it feels as though the idea of outsiders is almost non-existent. Everyone is in the same boat, working, struggling, living, and looking out for one another. Oh, and by the way, I know you're liking this video already. Go ahead right now and show me some love by hitting the like button. Done. All right, let's continue. 6. Technology and innovation in tight spaces. In a world where space is a luxury, innovation becomes essential for survival, and nowhere is this more apparent than in the urban villages of Shenzhen. While the buildings might be overcrowded, the streets packed with scooters and makeshift businesses, the use of technology in these areas speaks volumes about how modern solutions can make the impossible possible. Here, innovation is not just about flashy new gadgets or shiny tech. It's about making life work in cramped spaces and limited resources. Electric bikes and scooters are the lifeblood of these villages. They're everywhere, zipping through narrow alleyways, darting around pedestrians, and lining the sidewalks where larger vehicles can't fit. These small but powerful machines make it easier for locals to travel long distances in a city that is constantly on the move. And the best part, charging these bikes is made simple with strategically placed public charging stations, offering residents a quick and convenient way to keep their daily lives in motion. No more bulky batteries taking up precious space in already cramped homes. In shops and businesses, technology infiltrates every corner. At a local stall, you might see a simple QR code displayed for payment, allowing customers to pay seamlessly via WeChat, one of China's most popular mobile payment platforms. This form of cashless exchange has become so ubiquitous that even the smallest vendors are using it to make business transactions faster and more efficient. For those selling vegetables or homemade goods, the QR code system removes the need for physical cash and makes life easier. At the same time, it adds a layer of security for both the buyer and the seller. This combination of tradition and technology is what gives Shenzhen's urban villages their unique charm. The residents, often living in crowded conditions, manage to thrive thanks to these technological innovations that help them adapt and evolve. In a place where space is tight and resources are limited, technology opens up possibilities. And it's not just about gadgets. It's about how these tools make life in an overcrowded space more manageable. The ability to charge electric bikes quickly or make payments with a few taps on a phone are small miracles in this environment, helping people squeeze a little more out of every square meter they inhabit. 7. Revitalization and the future of urban villages. As China's cities surge forward, transforming into sleek, high-tech metropolises, the urban villages that were once the beating heart of migrant communities are now facing an uncertain future. The rapid development that has reshaped cities like Shenzhen has come at a cost. The demolition of older neighborhoods, replaced with towering glass skyscrapers, luxury apartments, and shopping malls. Yet, the fate of these urban villages remains a deeply emotional and complex topic. For the millions of migrant workers who have built their lives in these villages, the idea of watching their homes torn down is painful. These small, dense neighborhoods were once the lifeblood of the city, providing affordable housing and a sense of stability to those who had left their rural homes in search of opportunity. But now, as the city's skyline grows higher and more expensive, the promise of a better life seems to slip further away for many. Urban villages represent both the heartache of displacement and the hope of transformation, designed to accommodate the rising population without erasing the social fabric. This revitalization doesn't just mean the physical rebuilding of structures, but the regeneration of the community spirit that has thrived in these neighborhoods for decades. But what does this mean for the future? The future of urban villages in Shenzhen and other growing cities is still unfolding. Some residents hope that their homes will be preserved, while others fear they'll be priced out as new development drives up costs. Whether these communities will remain the affordable sanctuaries they once were, or evolve into gentrified enclaves for a new type of urbanite, is something that will continue to shape the narrative of China's rapid urbanization. 8. A sense of belonging in a fast-paced world. In the maze of Shenzhen's modern skyline, where ambition and technology reign supreme, the urban village stands as an anomaly, a place where connection and belonging are not just preserved, but cherished. Life in these areas might be hectic, noisy, and crowded, but for the people who live here, it is home in the truest sense. Imagine walking down narrow, winding alleys lined with laundry drying in the breeze, the chatter of street vendors competing with the hum of motorbikes. The scent of sizzling street food fills the air, and local dialects echo off the walls. Despite the fast pace of life in a city that never sleeps, these villages offer a sense of permanence and familiarity in an otherwise transient world. For the thousands of migrant workers who flood into Shenzhen every year, leaving behind their rural hometowns and families, urban villages are a refuge. The feeling of community here is palpable. Residents don't just know each other's names, they know each other's stories, dreams, and struggles. This network of relationships becomes a lifeline in a city where many feel like faceless cogs in the machinery of progress. It's more than just survival. It's about connection. Whether it's the elderly woman sitting on a doorstep, gossiping with her neighbors over a cup of tea, or the young migrant worker stopping by a friend's shop after a long day at the factory, these moments of human interaction are what ground people in an overwhelming world. In an age where social media and technology have created virtual connections that often feel shallow and impersonal, the relationships forged in the urban villages are authentic and tangible. There is an unspoken bond among these residents, a collective resilience that makes the community strong. Even when the world around them changes, whether through gentrification, economic pressures, or technological innovation, the urban village remains a steadfast symbol of belonging. It's a rare glimpse into the essence of what it means to find a home in a fast-moving world. In conclusion, China's urban villages and handshake buildings are a fascinating hidden world that few get to see up close. From the vibrant, dense streets filled with local shops and businesses to the hidden corners that tell a darker story, These places offer a unique perspective on life in one of the world's fastest-growing cities. While challenges persist, the resilience and ingenuity of the people who live here make these communities a testament to the adaptability of urban life. Whether you're fascinated by the idea of living in a bustling, crowded environment, or just curious about the hidden gems of China's cities, urban villages are worth exploring for their rich history, complex social dynamics, and undeniable energy. Let us have your thoughts in the comments section below. Thank you for joining us. If you found this information enlightening, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more insightful content about cities and cultures from around the world.